So apparently New York City influencers are crashing out because a girl made a video calling them all basic and boring, and like she's low-key right, because I don't even really watch them, but I looked up New York City influencers. The first like 15-20 videos I saw were like the same damn thing. And since then, so many New York City influencers have been like hating on the original girl, and it's like, grow the fuck up, alright? That is her opinion, that's her criticism of you, right? It's not hating, it's just her giving her valid opinion, which is saying you're boring. Now, obviously, all of them aren't boring. Like, the one girl, Ayana, I follow her, she's so funny, her content, I love it, alright? Like, that's true New York City right there. But, I mean, to the original girl's video, like, she's kind of right, because a lot of the New York City, like, influencers, it's like all doing the same thing. Oh, like, you know, get ready with me, like, watch me shop here, watch me do this. It's nothing exciting. Like, you live in New York City, and you only post about typical things that, like, sure, some people find interesting, but some people are also like, hey, you live in New York City, there's so many different things to do, why don't you actually show that? Like me seeing what your day in the life is and you just staying inside or you making this drink, that's not what they want to see. And I also don't understand why these influencers are crashing out, because you receive comments like this all the time. Like, they called you boring. Oh well, who cares, alright? You receive 10 times worse comments, I know that for sure, and yet that doesn't get to you, like, being called boring. Maybe that's a reflection on you or like what you truly think, I don't know.
NYC influencers are boring because they're literally being factory produced. I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal in July. The article talks about how this one woman, Shauna Davis Ross, is behind so many of the influencers you know and love, helping them plan their content around a very specific lifestyle ideal. I mean, look at this right here. You might call her the Frankenstein for the influencer marketing era, but what she's fashioned isn't a monster exactly, but a woman with an algorithmically covetable Manhattan life. Aloe yoga, Aperol spritzes. Here at the bottom, you can see some of the people that she represents at her agency. Her article explains that when Shauna works with her clients, she applies almost this factory production method. When taking on a new client, she works with her team to build what she calls content franchises. These are posts in a format that are easily repeated, tried and tested, monetizable, and mainly appeal to brands, essentially codifying a formula. Here are my internet anthropology takeaways. I think what we have here is a classic case of the capitalism breeds innovation meme, where things continue to get more and more similar over time as everything is focus grouped into the ground. Take number 2. When the economy's doing good, y'all want to see aspirational content. When the economy's doing bad, you want to see more inspirational content. We are now in the inspiration wave, so creators with strong personalities, interesting hobbies, and with focuses on learning will gain traction. And we'll probably get back into aspirational creators when the economy recovers.
This is like the worst day of my life, I think.
Why don't we just start with like removing the hand chain? We could get some low light.
Like, should I dye my hair blue or something? I'm like 5 seconds away from shaving my entire head.
Let's brainstorm.
What if I got a corporate job? What if I pretended to get a corporate job?
Do you have any talents? Can you sing?
If I could sing, I would have sung by now. Like,
we need to get you an exotic animal. I know somebody in the West Village who owns a parrot.
Parrot?
Yeah, but he could maybe get us a sugar glider in the life of a sugar baby sugar glider.
You're on to something.
Yeah.
I just don't think I should be seen with my friends anymore. Like, everyone hates us as a group, and I need new friends. I need to get new friends.
You just got to lean into the hate.
Really?
This is why I'm your manager. Influencers who are starting to get involved with more charity are getting a lot more engagement. It's pulling on heartstrings. What if this is like our message?
Like a hashtag?
Yeah, like hashtag stop influencer hate. NYC strong.
And NYC influencer strong?
Yes. Okay, great.
That's literally making me cry. Like, why is that making me cry? That's so beautiful.
As a New York City content creator, I have gone to hundreds of events. A lot of the times, there's a specific group of New York City influencers that attend these events. I am telling you, they are not nice people. I am not going to say who it is. I will provide you of things that I've witnessed going to these events with these people. So I went to a rare beauty event last year. Literally, we're looking at other girls like this. Like, I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. At that event, I saw my favorite creator, Monet McMichael. Monet, I love you! Saw her and I knew that I wanted to talk to her. Doing so, I rushed over to where she was. I accidentally bumped one of those girls. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And this girl turned around, looked at me, looked at her designer bag, and looked back up at me. Literally went like this. and my jaw was on the floor. In my head, I was like, you are an influencer, you are not famous. There is a big difference. And I've been to other events with them, witnessed them just straight up be rude to other people. Specifically people that are literally coming up to tell them they love them and they love their content. Their vibe is just really cocky and uninterested. Now granted, this is my experience with these people. These girls give mean girl energy time after time, event after event, etc. And it sucks, especially for creators like me. We don't have the biggest following, but we are good people. And that the people at the very top that have a larger following aren't necessarily the nicest. Again, this is my experience. Sucks to see. But I guess at the end of the day, I know that I am a good person. And I can sleep well at night knowing that.
Okay, wait, I haven't seen anyone said this. I went and checked out the whole New York City influencers are boring video. And the first thing I thought of was, if you were sitting there and noticing that all New York influencers are the same and that they're quote unquote boring, you're the boring one. If you care and pay attention to and keep track of what influencers are doing, you're the boring one. There's so many other things to do. That's the basis of the content that you consume is influencers. You live a boring life. Go read a book. Go watch Severance. Go donate at your local animal shelter. What are you talking about?
Also, if someone called me boring, I wouldn't be mad because I know I'm not boring. Someone could call me Caucasian and that doesn't make it true. They'd be like, you're boring. And I'd be like, you're the president of the United States. Are we lying for fun now?
When I think of New York City, the last thing I would imagine to think of is a skinny blonde influencer going to the Aloe Yoga Gym. Or a Tracy Anderson fucking workout class. That is not what I think of when I think of New York City. And it's crazy when people say my algorithm is full of the same influencer and I'm so sick of New York City influencers, these blonde skinny influencers. It's kind of telling on yourself if your algorithm is full of these influencers. You build your algorithms on TikTok. So you are clearly engaging with their content, liking their content, or liking similar content to be getting them so constantly. I've never really gotten these girls without searching them myself to see what their content is because that's not what I'm engaging with on my algorithm. And if I did get their videos, I would click not interested or I'd probably block them, okay? Because seeing their videos, seeing that they live in luxury buildings and all they do is talk about expensive designer clothing and just kind of this elitist lifestyle that only shows 2 neighborhoods or 2 square blocks of New York City and doesn't show anything about the diversity of the city. They don't talk about anything that's going on in the world. I'd probably say, okay, yeah, I don't really have a lot in common with them. I probably wouldn't be friends with them in real life. We don't share values here, right? So if you're hate following or hate watching or going on the influencer Reddit fucking snark page about these influencers and then confused why they have huge platforms, hate comments really do boost engagement. Number 1 is diversify your feeds, but number 2, I don't know if the original person is trying to make this point in her video, but there is a huge issue with the influencer industry when it comes to capitalism and white supremacy, when you see who gets platforms, when you see who routinely gets invited to the same events and press trips and New York City Fashion Week stuff. It is the same girls because the girls that are working at the brands that are inviting them and the PR agencies, it's all white women that see other white women. They see thin white women. They say, she looks like me. She gets invited to this. We've routinely seen women of color come on this app and say, hey, this brand didn't pay me, or I only made X amount and my white counterparts are making so much more money. So maybe we just diversify our feeds and don't follow people who we hate. Maybe.
I just need to talk my shit as a native New Yorker for a second, okay? I'll just start by saying New York City influencers are boring. This is primarily because none of the mainstream NYC influencers are native New Yorkers. It's very rare that I meet a boring native New Yorker. I'm biased, but it's true. And with peace and love, it's what do you expect when you consistently platform a bunch of upper middle class and wealthy suburban white women? Because guys, as we know, rich people historically, famously, are not very cool. And usually they buy their way into, coolness or proximity to coolness. And the way in which these people interact with the city and the surrounding communities is also really telling. They don't go above 14th Street. They don't go into any boroughs outside of Manhattan. There's a lack of genuine open-mindedness and curiosity that I think is necessary to actual character development while living here. And for New York and boring to be in the same sentence, I simply know we've lost the plot. And I think this is in part because on social media, people reward wealth and they reward privilege, which is also kind of perpetuates the cycle of the rich getting richer, because it's we platform people who already have money and live luxuriously. This sort of perversion and glamorization of what it's like to live here just perpetuates this idea that it's a young, wealthy person's playground, which it certainly is not. It's actually a real issue that affects many people, and specifically, I mean, so many native New Yorkers, like not even speaking for myself, but just people that, have to raise families here. Like, my parents, I'm first gen, so my parents are immigrants, and like I grew up with like so many first gen kids, so many immigrants, and like that's New York. Like, and it is so interesting because of all the different perspectives. Eventually, the only people that are going to be able to afford to move to New York are going to be the boring rich people, and the city's going to lose so much of what makes it amazing. And I mean, obviously we already see that happening, and it's heartbreaking. It's just wild to me because like the influencer version of New York City is a completely different world, and like not in a good way. Like actual New York is fucking awesome, and nobody gives a fuck about that stuff. And like I encourage you, if you are consuming like content about New York, try to, just like get a variety of different perspectives. Honestly, I'm biased, but I would say follow some people from New York. Usually, to be honest, the perspectives are night and day, so I think it could be interesting at the very least.
So a lot of these recent NYC influencer discussions have really hit the nail on the head with me in terms of like why I feel icky about this industry and just how I'm just very unfulfilled and very confused with like where I want to take my career as a creator. And if you don't know me, or this is like your first interaction with me or whatever, hi, I'm Anna. I come from mainly a PR and fashion marketing background, and like probably a year and a half ago I went full-time as a creator. Now I guess you could call me an influencer, but I consider myself more of a creator just because transparently 50% of what I earn is on sponsorships, yes, but then another 50% is on what we call UGC, which is essentially me making an ad asset for a company to run on their own pages. It never touches my page. Actually, Moose and I do a lot of this work for a dog food brand that we love. All this to say, there are creators out there like myself, there are many of us who don't earn so much money that it's like unspeakable and unrelatable and go on every brand trip there is and buy a new designer bag every single day. Like, there are many of us who are living very similar lives to you. Again, transparently, I probably make a similar amount to your average corporate girly. When I ultimately did decide to go full-time as a creator, it was because I had been doing it on the side with my 9-to-5 for years. It felt very unsustainable. It felt like I was working all the time, and I knew doing the math that I would probably break even if I went full-time, put all my eggs in the basket of being a creator, starting my own business. All this to say, I just moved to New York in like December, and I, since being here, have just more so than ever had it in my face how behind I feel as a creator. I think when you live in another city where a lot of these events like aren't happening, you kind of can tell yourself like, oh, I'm not getting invited to those events because I don't live in that city. Being a creator, influencer, whatever you want to call me, who lives in New York City now, it's very apparent that I am not at the level of a lot of people, which is fine, right? Growth is great, but I've had to really sit down with myself and be honest about like what that growth looks like. And when I assess girls who have been really successful in New York as New York City influencers, they are over consuming like fucking crazy. I have felt like there's no way I can even like scratch the surface of catching up to someone like that, because it's like I don't have the money to be doing those kind of hauls. I don't have the clout to be sent all these PR packages from all these different designers. Like, and to be fair, like I don't necessarily want to do that, and that's the point that I'm getting at. I like sat down with myself and I was like, okay, what does the pinnacle of my career look like? What does success look like to me? And I thought about, what it takes to get a community of women following you and rooting for you and caring about your life. And I was like, I just feel like in order to grow, I have to like buy into this crap. And I don't want to. And I made a video about this the other week, like kind of talking about how I've been toying with, do I want to go back to a 9-to-5? Like, I miss human connection. I also like can't stand the overconsumption that is the influencer industry. I think at the end of the day, like, I want to put something out into the world that is a net positive. I don't want to be a creator who just gets on here and sells people things. Like, I don't want your only interaction with me to be like me telling you to buy something that you don't need. It's like this fine line with the way that TikTok works and brand partnerships work and all that, where it's like, to some extent, like, to succeed in this industry, you do have to be like a walking freaking salesperson. So this whole NYC influencers are boring conversation has really hit the nail on the head with a lot of what I've been feeling lately about this industry. As like a mid-size or mid-tier creator who leads a pretty normal life. If you follow me, thank you first of all, but I want to be adding value to your life. I want to be entertaining you. I want to be making you laugh. I want to be making you feel seen. I want to share my life with you. I want to give you recommendations on where to go and what to see in this city that I love. And every time I've wondered to myself like, what should I do next? What's my next like career move? I remind myself how much power there is in having any platform at all. Anytime that you sit down to talk and there are people who will listen to what you have to say, like, there is so much power in that. And yes, I want to show cute outfits and my favorite makeup and skincare products and like all those fun girly things that I'm so like jazzed about. But also I want the influence, or the impact rather, that I have on people who follow me to be more than just that. You know what I mean? So like, keep following, you know, your favorite mega influencer, but also like remember to support your smaller and mid-sized creator girlies who are out here doing great things. It doesn't have to be me, but if it is, hey girl, hey. And if you're frustrated with what keeps popping up on your For You page, like, just make sure the people that you follow are adding value to your life. The content we consume and the things we put in our head are important. That's all. Okay, love you, bye.
Throw my name into the ring. Wait, oh my god, who the fuck is that? He's very fine. I want to throw my hat in the ring for this conversation surrounding boring New York City influencers. I've been doing this for over 12 years, a lot of it in New York. I need to find a new word for influencer, because to be an influencer, you need what class? Influence. Good job. I've looked up some of the videos that this trend is about, and let me tell you, these people couldn't influence me to take a free napkin.
Maybe I'm biased, but I think it's user error. If you can name 3 to 4 New York City influencers, you are part of the problem, because you are aware of them. You watch their stuff, you engage, and you fuel their bank accounts by giving them a platform to do all the boring shit that they want to do here in New York City. Like, this is one of those gigs, being an influencer, where, like, people's financial, like, success is based off us, the people, right? The viewers. So I don't know, man. Like, I've never heard of these people in my life. Like, I look at the comments and I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Who are these people? Alex Earl? Girl, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't know a single one. I know me, and I think I don't know who else lives here. I don't know, man, but like, this seems like user error in my eyes, right? Like, some of you just do not follow people of color. And that sounds like a you problem.